Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about major chord ideas and different things that we can do and add to and play around with our major chords to kind of spice them up and give them some life. So the progression I'm going to be doing today is going to be in G mixolydian. It's going to be G to F to C. Now, one of the biggest things that you can do to help with this is to know your triads and to be able to play any progression across the neck in different ways, right? If you can play a G chord here, and a G chord here, a G chord here, a G chord here, right? You're going to get these different paths, if you will, of playing through the progression. You can do this, or you can do this, right? Or this. Right, so just being able to play these triads across the neck will naturally give some life to these progressions if you're kind of in a jam and you're playing the same progression over and over. And also playing the different triads are going to line up different under your hand, so you're naturally going to come up with different embellishments. For a C chord here, I'm going to play different embellishments than a C chord here. Right, so by being able to play across the neck, you're also naturally going to have some different ideas. So the voicings that I'm going to use in this video are going to be here. We're going to play G up on our 10th fret A string, 9th fret D string, 7th fret G string, and 8th fret B string. And this B string note, I kind of hit or miss, depends on the moment. You don't need it. Sometimes I play it, sometimes I don't. But this is the main one. These three I definitely play. G, B, D here. Then we're going to go down to F. It's going to be the same voicing, or the same shape rather, but down to F. So it's going to be our 8th fret A string, 7th fret D string, and 5th fret G string. And again, you can have your 6th fret B string, and that's hit or miss. And then the C chord we're going to do is going to be 7th fret A string, 5th fret D string, and 5th fret G string. And if you're unsure about how to find all these different triads, you can check out some of my triad videos where I go into a lot of detail about the theory behind them and different major and minor shapes and all of that. So now that we know the chords and the voicings we're doing for this progression, the next step would be to know your scale around each chord, right? So if we're going to play G here, we need to know our scale around it. So like I said earlier, we're in G mixolydian, so there's no sharps or flats. It's G, A, B, C, D, E, F, back to G. So you want to take a shape, and you want to be able to play your scale around the chord. So we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I would run that scale around that shape a few times to really make sure it's drilled in. When you're playing, you don't want to be thinking about what the right notes are. You just want to know and kind of own that scale to be able to just play any note on the spot. But our next chord is going to be F. And so we're going to do the same scale, G mixolydian, but around our F chord now. So it's going to be F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then last is our C chord. We're going to start here, so it's going to be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So now that you know the chords and the scales, you do want to practice them to make sure that you have them. Like I said, you want to own these scales. They want to kind of become ingrained in you. You don't want to be in the middle of a jam and trying to do a melody or an embellishment and then forget which note of the scale is the right note, right? You just want to be able to play it on the spot. And it's not like we're going to just be running up and down the scales, right? That wouldn't be musical if I just played, right? Like that's not going to be musical, but you do want to be able to do that so that the scale is kind of internalized in you. So one thing that I like to do to make this musical is I like to start with just sticking with one string at a time. So if we're going to play G, F, C, let's try making a melody just on our G string. So you need to see the scale there, right? So we add C, D, E, those notes are on the G string hanging out around our chords, right? We're kind of blending this chord and melody style, so we need to have the scale around our chords. Right, so if you just stick with one string, all of a sudden your playing becomes a little bit more lyrical, almost like a singer would be playing, or a singer would be singing along, right? So let's come up with a singular kind of a bite-sized melody to play alongside with these chords just on one string. So an example of that could be something like this. Right, and all I did was just play, and yeah, I played a little bit on the D string. You can dance around the string. You don't have to strictly stay on the one string, but by kind of hanging out mostly on one string, you're going to get these kind of lyrical, more lyrical sounding melodies. So what I did here was I played G, and then I hammered on from my 7th fret to my 9th fret on G string. And then I slid down to the 7th fret, down to the 5th fret, and then I played my F chord. So I'm kind of dancing between playing the chord, playing a little melody, playing the chord again, and it just kind of blends nicely. So we have this. So when I got to F, I went up to 7th fret, up to D, and then resolved it back to C. So C is one of the notes of our F chord, so it's going to sound really nice if our melody is resolving to the chords as they're going. So we have G, and then I worked my way down to the C chord. So I did leave the G string. I went to D, and I did. So I did. So I'm doing a hammer on D, 5 to 7. I landed on F still because we're still on F during that time. And then I resolved to C. So all together, that's. And then you can just add little embellishments there. Right, and all that was just kind of pentatonics. And again, it's just really seeing the scale around the chord. That's really the big picture here. Is whatever chord you're on, there's a scale around it. And the scale will look different depending on what chord or what voicing it is, right? If I'm playing C here, the scale is going to look, it's going to look different than if I'm here, right? So that's kind of the big ticket item there is, and it's going to take a lot of practice, but going around each triad and visualizing the scale and the shape around each triad. And I'll have videos that come out with that we can work on that. But for this video, I'm sticking in this area. And so far, all we did was just kind of hang out on one string, make a little melody, and then just add some little embellishments. And all of a sudden, now we have this nice chord melody style, or this nice progression with embellishments that, to me, sounds a lot more musical versus if I was just strumming it. Which, that's not bad, but I love doing these embellishments. I just love that sound. Another thing that we can add to this is adding double stops, where you're just playing 2 notes at once, right? So again, all the double stops are going to be based around your scale. It always comes back down to what your scale is and where it is around these chords. But if you're playing double stops, you can do something here, still keeping that melody on the G string, but now adding a note on our B string at the same time. And it just kind of fattens up the sound a little. Right? And so all I did was just do the same thing, but now I had a note on the B string. And then when I did 5, 7 on D, I held 5th fret on G string. I played both those notes. So now we're getting some double stops in there, and that's always going to be a good way to fatten up the sound. Okay, so there you go. So that's the basic idea, right? We took a chord progression, we found some voicings that we liked, and then we had to find the scale around it. And again, we're not just running up and down the scale. A really effective way to do this is just go along one string at a time, and just make a little bite-sized melody that kind of works through the progression. The meat and bones of the music is still the progression, right? So you really got to be holding on to a good groove. You got to make sure your chords are ringing out clean, right? All that stuff needs to be prominent. But we're just adding a little bit of a melody to it, and it creates a really nice sound. So a really good practice that you could do is to take some progressions that you already know and you're already playing, and find the scale around each chord and see if you can come up with your own little melody to add to that progression. You can also find different ways of playing the progression by exploring the different triads and come up with those different roots, right? Like I said, we had F, C, G here. We had F, C, G there, right? There's another one. You're going to find them all over the neck, so that's naturally going to give you a lot of different options too. But yeah, I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer, and I'll see you guys next time.